Arlene Morell is running for trustee, and she was willing to come and say a few words, and I think that's really important. We had someone submit a question about schools in our local community, and I think she's willing to address that question, but I thought I would give her a couple minutes to just talk a little bit about herself, express whatever she feels like she wants to. We're going to go up here. Okay.
Good evening, and thank you for having me. I'm going to begin with apologizing. I had hoped to be here earlier. However, I was caught in Toronto traffic, and had I been a Blue Jays fan, I likely would have known that the 2 blocks around the Sky Dome would likely be a traffic jam, of which I sat in for an hour and was unfortunately not able to make it on time to be here to speak with you before this event began. But what is important is, why was I in Toronto? Well, part of what I do as your trustee is I'm privileged to serve through the Ontario Public School Boards Association as their Western Region Chair. Western Region for the Ontario Public School Boards Association, a provincial organization, encompasses Owen Sound, Windsor to Woodstock. And why is that important that I serve that role? Well, in education, provincial policy, education policy is set by the province. And so I feel that it is important that the rural lens, the rural perspective, your rural lens, your rural perspective helps to influence provincial education policy. So my apologies, I will pay attention to the Blue Jays schedule next time I need to be back here by a certain time, I promise. So just a little bit about myself, a little bit more. I am pleased to seek re-election as... I'll let them give a moment. Is that better? Can you hear?
Just closer to the mic and I can hear it.
Yeah, the back row can hear. Can the back row hear me? Yes. Perfect. So as I said, I am pleased to once again seek your support as your Middlesex County trustee for the Thames Valley District School Board. I'm a proud lifelong resident of Middlesex County, and as I have for the past 20 years in school parent leadership positions and the past 8 years as your Middlesex County trustee, I remain dedicated to preserving and promoting local schools in a manner that ensures all students have local access to quality programming and the resources they need to be successful in reaching their full potential through innovative learning opportunities. In seeking re-election, I remain guided by my core principles of transparency, dependability, advocacy, and service. I remain committed to listening and working alongside families, local parent groups, elected and community leaders, municipal partners to collectively strengthen relationships that enhance local schools. To deal with the current challenges and opportunities, experience matters. Over the next 4 years, Middlesex County deserves proven leadership, a vision for rural school sustainability, collaboration locally, and advocacy provincially. And just as a note, Minister Lecce, as many of you might know, was to Dorchester on Monday, and I was able to have a conversation with him related to the moratorium on school closures and what the future looks like for our rural schools. Over the next 4 years, the moratorium will be lifted, and we will look to how it is that provincial policies will direct the work that we do around the board table. This is a time for Middlesex County to have a trustee who has an in-depth knowledge and experience to help guide those decisions and ensure that our rural schools not only remain open, but also remain viable. I believe that I am that candidate. I'm a trustee with leadership that is responsive to local student needs and your local priorities. Thank you. And there's a question.
Thank you, Arlene. So your question is, with all the growth in Thorndale, what's being done to advocate for more elementary school space? Is there any discussion about a secondary school?
Oh my, like a secondary school in Thorndale? How about we do this one at a time?
So it's, yes, so what is your, so considering the growth, what's being done to advocate for more elementary school space?
And so that would look like an addition on West Missouri. So that would look like an addition on West Missouri. And Trustee Hunt, the other current trustee, and myself have been advocating and working with our senior team to ensure that on the schedule of a submission, grant submissions to the Ministry of Education, that your school makes it on the list. And it has been placed on the list of submissions. So let me just talk. Do I have a time here?
Let's say 2 minutes.
Only because I want to explain the background. The Ministry of Education funds school additions and new school builds, and we as a school board have to apply for that funding. Our senior team creates a business case. Trustees then determine the order of the business cases to be submitted to the Ministry of Education. Sometimes there's 5 and there can be up to 10. We rank them in order, and then the Ministry of Education determines, sometimes regardless of the rank that we give, whether they will fund that project or not. Bear in mind, part of the greatest challenge for Middlesex County, Elgin, and Oxford is that we're not only competing against each other in terms of new school builds and additions, but we're also competing against the City of London. One of the recommendations or the key findings on the Rural Education Task Force was for there to be parallel planning. So planning that happens in the City of London and parallel planning that happens in the counties, so that we are able to compete on a far more equitable basis than just all of the needs in all of Thames Valley are thrown into the mix. So I will continue to advocate for that parallel funding, but also ensure that the schools in Middlesex County, Wilberforce and West Missouri, which at this point are the 2 schools in all the 30 schools in Middlesex County that are of the greatest need. We need to see them on the long-term plan or the 5-year plan for submission to the Ministry of Education to ensure that the addition, or to ensure that at least it's in front of the Ministry of Education. Additionally, your MPP also is a great advocate. And so when the word is out or when the submission is in, your MPP also, who I work with closely, is a great advocate at the cabinet table to help influence the Ministry of Education's decision related to where those finite dollars go and additions happen in our schools. The secondary school question. We have Lord Dorchester, which has plenty of space, and if I were to have plenty of space, we need to ensure that the schools we have are full, and that students who live within the catchment area of our secondary schools attend those secondary schools. More bums that we have in seats, more students we have in desks, ensure programming happens within our schools. And so the first priority for Lord Dorchester, as I said, is not only to keep it open, but to keep it sustainable. And to keep it sustainable, we need the students who live within the catchment area to be attending the school. You're welcome. I'm happy. Always happy. I'll be here for the evening and happy to answer any of your questions. Thank you.
Thank you. So the only thing I want to say before we invite our Ward 1 candidates up is I want to acknowledge the Thorndale Farm Supplies. So Thorndale Farm Supplies is a great supporter, I'm sure all of you know, of the community and is a great supporter of I Love Thorndale. And I find that when we ask for help, they're there to help. So Kirk has sent a request asking for some financial support in order to be transparent. All of the any money that came to us was to pay for the facility and to buy these delicious snacks over here and the coffee. So all of the money's gone back into this event, but they were sponsor of this event. So thank you to Thorndale Farm Supplies for that support, as well as all of the candidates didn't hesitate to contribute to making this possible as well. So thank you for your support.